David Bowie's eclectic back catalogue is full of examples of modal writing. Now, a little disclaimer before I start, I'm not claiming that David Bowie necessarily knew what a mode was, necessarily knew that he was using modes in his writing. But nonetheless, modes are in his songs, they're part of what make his songs work the way they do. So let's have a look at some modes in some of his most classic songwriting, starting with Golden Years is in F-sharp Mixolydian. The Mixolydian mode is just like the major scale, but has a flattened 7th degree. And Golden Years is based on a Mixolydian vamp. A vamp is just a short chord progression, often just 2 chords long, that keeps repeating. And the vamp that Bowie uses here establishes the Mixolydian mode in the most direct way possible. We get the tonic chord, the F sharp, and then we get the flat 7 chord, the Mixolydian chord, this E major. The vocal melody latches onto the Mixolydian sound here by using the flat 7.
Don't let me hear you say life's taking you nowhere. Angel, come baby.
To me, the Mixolydian mode has a freer sound than the major scale. The major scale always wants to resolve back up to the octave because its leading tone, the 7th tone, is only a semitone away. The Mixolydian scale flattens that 7th tone, flattens the leading tone, loosening up the resolution of the scale. Bowie also uses Mixolydian in Heroes, however this time it's only for the chorus.
I will be king, and you.
The verse of Heroes is in plain D major, but when we hit the chorus we land on a C major chord.
For nothing will drive them away.
C major doesn't belong in D major. D major usually has a C sharp as its 7th note, but the C is the flattened 7th, the Mixolydian 7th. The Mixolydian sound also shines through in this A minor chord here because it also features the flattened 7th, the C.
We can beat them just for one day.
I often find that when a song moves from the major scale to the Mixolydian scale, it has a sense of opening up, becoming more tonally interesting. Now, although the chords in this chorus are using the Mixolydian mode, the vocal melody doesn't actually touch that 7th degree, doesn't actually touch that Mixolydian note. So really, the vocal melody is still staying in the major scale. Therefore, I'm inclined not to call Heroes a modal song, but to say that Heroes uses modal interchange. Modal interchange, like I've mentioned before, is when a song borrows chords from a parallel scale or mode. So we're in D major, but we borrow C major and A minor chords from the parallel Mixolydian mode. Another brilliant example of Mixolydian is Aladdin Sane. The chorus of Aladdin Sane uses the same Mixolydian vamp as Golden Years did, a move from the root G down to the flat 7 F. But Aladdin Sane, being the chromatically interesting song that it is, takes this a step further by then shifting the whole vamp up a tone just for a bar and a half. So we now get A to G instead.
Battle cries and champagne, just in time for sunrise.
This 1 to flat 7 vamp, this A to G vamp, then becomes the backdrop to Mike Garson's amazing piano solo. Despite all of the crazy chromatic atonal stuff that Garson is getting up to in this solo, this A Mixolydian vamp, this 1 to flat 7, keeps plodding away underneath. And although the vamp is now just carried in the bass line, it helps to tie this chromatic crazy solo to the main body of the song. Aladdin Sane doesn't just use the Mixolydian mode, the verse of Aladdin Sane also uses the Phrygian mode. Phrygian is the same as the natural minor but with a flattened 2nd. The verse of Aladdin Sane starts out in B minor.
Watching him dash away.
this third chord is a C major chord. B minor should have a C sharp chord there, not a C natural. So the C natural is the flattened second degree. Interestingly, we actually get a C sharp and a C at the same time here. The verse features this repeating piano riff, and the riff starts on an octave of C sharp, which is harmonious over the B minor and A. It works really well over those first two chords. But Garston also jams this same C sharp riff over the C major chord. Having C sharp and C natural together creates a lovely dissonance. This is called a false relation, where we simultaneously have two versions of the same note, in this case C sharp and C natural, and it creates a brilliant dissonance between the two notes. So the last song that I want to talk about today is Let's Dance! The verse of Let's Dance uses B flat Dorian. In fact, it uses B flat Dorian and B flat Aeolian, or in other words, B flat natural minor.
Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Let's dance to the song they're playing on the radio. Let's swing.
Dorian is the same as the natural minor. However, whereas the natural minor has a flattened sixth note, the Dorian has a natural sixth note, so it has a slightly brighter, more interesting sound. This E flat chord gives us the Dorian sound, as it features a G natural, the natural sixth, rather than G flat, which would be the flat sixth.
Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
But the very next chord is the G flat chord, so we do now get this flat six, so we're switching from a Dorian sound to an Aeolian sound.
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Let's dance to the song they're playing on the radio.
Now this can work really smoothly because Bowie's vocal line up above is actually pentatonic. It's only using the notes of the minor pentatonic scale.
Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
And the minor pentatonic scale doesn't feature the sixth, so it doesn't matter if the chords use a flat sixth or a major sixth, the melody is still going to fit over the top. Now the very clever part of this song's modality comes with the chorus, where we seemingly modulate to A flat major.
If you say run, I'll run with you. And if you say hide, we'll hide.
But the reason I say seemingly is because we've kind of been in A flat major all along. B flat Dorian, which we had in the verse, has all the same notes as A flat major. So in some ways they are the same key. B flat Dorian is a mode, the second mode, of A flat major. This big E flat 7 chord, which builds up over the course of 4 bars, we had at the beginning of the song and at the end of each chorus, and the obvious resolution for a big E flat 7 chord is a big A flat root like this.
If you should fall into my arms, tremble like a flower.
But instead, each time we jump, we're sort of shifting the root up to the B flat minor, effectively changing us from being in A flat Ionian, A flat major, to B flat Dorian.
If you should fall into my arms, tremble like a flower.
This is a different type of modal writing than the modal writing we saw in Heroes, for example. In Heroes, we moved to a parallel mode. We moved from D major to D Mixolydian, so we're still using D as our root. But Let's Dance is moving between modes of the same major scale, between A flat Ionian to B flat Dorian. So there is just 4 examples of David Bowie's modal magic, and if you enjoyed this video about David Bowie, let me know in the comments and I'll make you some more. Also let me know if you think I should be saying David Bowie or David Bowie. I'd be interested to know actually what David Bowie himself said about that, but I guess it's the GIF or GIF of the 20th century. And thank you once again to all of my marvellous Patreons for making this video possible, including all of these wonderful names on screen. And an extra special thanks to Aaron Anya, Andre Sainz Deasia, Andrew Brown, Bob McKinstry, Chris Lawrence, Daryl, David DeFundifer, David Spalding, George Taylor, Nancy Gillard, and Roger Young. My Patreons get access to exclusive vlogs about behind the scenes and about my work as a professional musician, and they get to answer polls about my future video topics, so if you're interested in supporting me and you can spare any money at all, I would be eternally grateful. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.
I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their worst work when they do that. And the other thing I would say is that if you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth, and when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting.